right. Hello there. Hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a great time. Um, Welcome back from our first lesson. I hope it was great. Though some of us haven't shared their experiences yet, I'm still to get to know how it went, but I believe it was great. It was really, really great because I always believe the first day is it's something that can either encourage or discourage you from acquiring or achieving a particular training. So today being our second day of our training, we're going to go ahead and uh, try something else a little more different or maybe a little harder. And this is a fresh video and I've made it for you for today. So I will correct some of the issues that we had in our video that we used yesterday. As I mentioned that the video was for our previous class. And so let me just go ahead and open Illustrator. So I already have my Illustrator here. And for those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Luke Davis. Special thanks, shout outs to Gapi Media and Technologies, and then Wanakan Foundation and Wanakan Studios for sponsoring and bringing us this training. And so in our today's training, I want us to just go ahead and not waste any more time in the basic introduction since we already had that in our previous class. So looking at what we have here, this is a simple interface of Illustrator. For those ones who are running 2019 upwards, yours might look like this. Yeah, in our last video we were using CS6 and CS6 doesn't open like this. So for those who are using 2019, 2020 up to 2025, it might be looking like this. So let's go ahead and create a new file. Remember, you can always come to new file or come to file, any of the two. So if we choose new file, it will still bring us to the same thing. Even when we go to file, it will definitely bring us to something. Then we create new. So whichever you choose, you'll still remain at the same point. Yesterday, we talked about the different presets that we have, and we talked about the mobile, the web, the print, and so on and so forth. Always, whenever you're designing for print, make sure you choose print. For mobile, that's maybe for social media and so on, you can still choose. But then it doesn't mean you're tied. For example, if you use for mobile, doesn't mean you cannot use it to print. No, doesn't necessarily mean that. So we're going to go ahead and create a new artboard by, let's say, clicking F4. I'm very well versed with metric units of centimeters and meters, so I'll go ahead and select centimeters. For those who like inches, you can also choose inches and so on. And then I'll just choose a rendition of portrait. So there is portrait orientation and then there's also landscape orientation. You can choose any that you like, and then you go ahead and click create. Remember, in our previous video, we said all these other settings, once you set it, you don't need to change them again because it always comes automatically. So I'm just going to go ahead and click create. And then, so upon clicking create, this is what will happen. I have my artboard here. Now, for those who are used to Microsoft Office Web, an artboard is an equivalent of a page. So if you want 2 pages, you'll have to create another artboard. So that's how it works. So somebody reached out to me today saying that they are not finding the Magic Wand tool. Yeah, in other versions, some of these tools are different. For example, this one is Illustrator 2023, and in 2023, some tools have been added, some tools have been removed. So if you don't see a particular tool, maybe it's hidden somewhere, or you can use something else to achieve the same thing that you want to do. And so if you check this Magic Wand tool, it's in 2023. So whoever asked me this question, you can go ahead and check onto yours. So in case you don't find it, it's okay. Now, yesterday I said that Illustrator is so beautiful that every time you drag a cursor onto a tool, it gives you its name. For example, I've put a cursor on this one and now you see the Magic Wand tool. If I bring a cursor down here, you will see other things like the mesh tool. And also remember, we said that whenever you see this white indicated, it means there are other options under it. For example, if you right click here, you'll see other options such as the arc tool, the spiral tool, the rectangular grid tool, and then the polar grid tool. You can go ahead and try some of these, and that will be it. A quick recap: yesterday we were trying to do something. I tasked us to create different shapes and sizes and what, and I haven't seen what we're saying, so I don't know what's really happening, but I hope you're doing it. But basically, that is it. You can always play around with the shapes and so on. Today I want us to pick up from there, and we proceed with our lesson. Now I want to introduce us to what we call layers. Now in Adobe Photoshop, layers is something that you'll understand it deeply, but in Illustrator we don't really go so much into layers. For those who haven't gone through the notes, this might be a little bit hard to understand, so I kindly request you to go back and revise your notes. It will help you so much to understand, because the notes were purely theories, and it will help your understanding on this practical design aspect. And when we look on our right hand side here, we still have other tools. Remember this arrow, we call it the expand arrow. It allows you to expand the panels. So you can expand it and close it. When it's in this format, you're only seeing the symbols, but when you expand it, you will even see other things. So don't get confused. Now, when we expand it and we go ahead and choose layers, let me just bring it back. Some of us are used to symbols otherwise. So this is layers. So when you click layers and open this window, this small window, everything you put, you will be able to see it, or every layer you create, you'll be able to see it. Now in Microsoft Office Word, there is a tool, it's called Arrange. It allows you to arrange different elements or objects. And that is the first thing I want us to understand in Illustrator here. It's very important. So let's go back to where we were yesterday. Let's say we have created some shapes like these, and maybe let me give you another shape here and give it another color. Let's say yellow. I talked about that yesterday. I'm not of NRM, I'm not political. So don't say why yellow of all colors and red. So just to balance everybody, I'm going to just put this to blue, and then I will have another one in green. Hey, because we still have other parties of white. But let me create another shape and give it another color, let's say a green. So I've almost represented everybody here. Now, as you can see from here, the red one is behind. The red object, which is the circle, is behind everything, followed by another one like that. So what we want to do here is to arrange. What if we want to bring the red in front? You right click on the red, you go to arrange, and then you go to bring to front. Now I want to start introducing this tool because we're going to use it so often. Now the same way we used to do it in Microsoft Office Word, you can bring forward or you can bring in front. Bringing forward means it will jump one step in front. Now bring to front, it means it will jump all the way. Now, beautiful about this is also that we have the shortcuts. If you look at bring to front, it's written Shift plus Control plus close bracket. Then bring forward, Shift plus close bracket. So you can always use these shortcuts. So let's say we wanted to design and have the red circle in front. So we'll just right click and say arrange and then bring to front. So this is what will happen. That is very important for us to understand. Another thing which is very important is we can always group, because for example, if you want to move this from here and you bring it down, or even this rectangle down, or even this down, you'll have to move them separately. What if you want to move all of them at once? You can highlight all of them by dragging, or bring your cursor on an empty space, click and hold it, then you drag it down. So it will be like you're selecting what is within, then you can move them at once. There we have selected, we have not grouped, but we have just selected. So when you click outside, they again go back to their individual state of being. So that is very important that you should also understand. You can also click Ctrl A on your key. It selects all of them. Now for Ctrl A, it selects everything. Even if you add an object outside here and you click Ctrl A, it will also select the outer object. So you should understand when and where to use Ctrl A. Now, assuming you want to group this, remember we said when you select this, if you click out here, they go back to their original state of individualness. But if you want to group them so that they all move together, you select all of them, you right click and you go to group. Now at this particular point, even when you click the yellow one, the other blue one will be selected. You can move all of them together because now all these have been grouped. I know some of you might be asking yourself already, well, why are we learning some of these things? So, how are we going to apply it? Yesterday I showed us a simple poster of, let me just check this poster of ours. Okay, you guys remember this poster very well. Now, at this particular point, when we look at our poster here, you can see we've added so many elements. The first element we have here is the background, the yellow, orange background. We have the words, the letters. This one is another layer, this is another one, this is another one, this is another one, and this is the picture, a screenshot that I took from Adobe Illustrator, and I just put it there. And this is also a picture that I screenshot, and I put it behind the laptop. So you can see there are very many layers. So all these, you always put them together and it gives you a design. Let's take a quick example of a campaign poster. You are in a campaign poster, a typical campaign poster. Okay. Let me just get, this one here. So when we check this campaign poster, you always have the object, that's the person contesting, and then the title, and then maybe the logo here, and some of these words. So you need to be in position to move them individually or to group them and arrange them. So arranging them is the key to having a good design. That point is very, very important. In Adobe Illustrator, you must be able to arrange your design properly. For example, let's go ahead and design for ourselves a simple business card. So what I have drawn is a simple background or a rectangle. I've just grabbed it from this tool. Under the rectangular tool, you see there are many shapes. So I've picked the rounded rectangle and I've drawn that. So assuming that is my background, I will need, let's say I need to write my name first. So I'll go ahead and write my name. Let's say Luke Davis. Okay. Let's go ahead and write maybe the title or something. Let's say we're making a business card for a sales company, and it's okay. Let's say Parliament of Beauty, and please, this is not my dream. Those who, let's say I work then at the Parliament of Uganda. So I want to have the title, the workplace and what, and then the context and so on. The way I arrange the thing can help me, my design to look good. So let's say I want to attach the coat of arm. I don't know whether I have the coat of arm. I need something like a coat of arm. In case I can't find, I'll just go ahead and grab any logo. Let me see. I used to have the logo for Makerere University at 100. So yeah, let me just pick this up. I will just go ahead and resize this. Now you can see my design is starting to make sense just by arranging this properly. It's almost looking like a business card of a serious person. Let me even change this to Makerere University. For students of Makerere University, please don't beat me on the way. I'm not your lecturer, but I'm just trying to show you how simple it is to design. Now, assuming this was to be behind a business card, you can say, I've tried. How many means one or two, but this is not really a professional design. I'm just trying to show you how arranging, or by getting your things arranged properly, you end up coming up with a good design. So this is what normally happens. You need to know how to undo this separately. So we have a picture here, we have this word, and then we have this. So we have, and then the fourth one is our background. So you can decide to move our background here. You can also move this name. You can also move this. So wherever you put it, it's up to you. But when you put it right, it will always come well. So I hope you're now getting that aspect of design. Now, something else which is so important that we have to learn right away is how to stretch things. For example, we have this name, Luke Davis. I can right click it, and then I have the word copy. And then I click outside here, I right click and I say paste. So you can see what I've done. I've duplicated this. I have copied this name and pasted it here. We all know how to do that. You can also click a shortcut, let me delete that, of Ctrl+C, then you paste with Ctrl+V, it comes. Now, assuming this name, Luke Davis, you want it to be bigger, you can always come back to the properties here, and then you increase the font size. But sometimes this can be so hectic that you want to just drag it from the sides here and increase. Now, this that I'm going to talk about applies only to Adobe Illustrator, not Adobe Photoshop and nothing else. Adobe Illustrator, when you want to stretch it, when you click the sides and you stretch, it will not stretch proportionally, meaning it can end up stretching like this if you just click and stretch, or it can end up like this, and this becomes terrible. I'm going to press Ctrl+Z to undo. Now, if you don't want it to stretch in a bad way like that, you press the shift button and hold it down. So right now I'm pressing the shift button. I want you to look at the cursor, see the change. If I press shift, you see the change. Good. So I'm going to bring the cursor here and I press the shift button and I stretch. So no matter how you stretch it, it will always be proportional. So that is how you do that. Please, people already asking questions. They'll be like, how do you do yours? Because mine I'm stretching and it's ending up in a distorted form. Make sure you press the shift button. Now, if you want to duplicate something, for example, you want to bring this picture of marker at 100, and you want to, instead of copying and pasting down here like that, instead of copying and pasting, there is a shortcut. You click on the subject that you want to duplicate, you press the Alt, the Alt button down, you'll see the cursor. It turns into two of them, and you can just drag it to the side. And that's how you end up making a copy. It's very simple like that. I hope that will be useful in your design. So another thing that I also wanted us to talk about a little bit more is the properties. More so, before we talk about the properties, you can always bring pictures. I talked about that already. It says, let me just grab this photo of the main building and put here. Now, remember how we arrange it? I want this picture to be in the background. So if I put it here, it's on the foreground. So I'll right click and then I arrange and then take it to the back. So you see it's fully background, like real behind the yellow. And yet I want it to be in front of the yellow and I still want the yellow to be seen. So how do I do that? I'll bring it in front by one step. I go to arrange, then bring forward. So you can see now it's in front of the yellow, but behind the words, but it's blocking the yellow. So what I'm going to do is to reduce the opacity. So there's something I wanted to talk about called opacity. Opacity is how thick your image would appear. If you reduce the opacity, it means your image starts to become transparent. For example, in this particular case, if I come up here on the properties which are up here, there's this word opacity, it's at 100%, so I can click and reduce it. So at this point, you can see, now you can still see the yellow and you can still see your picture. So this is how you can easily blend any picture and put it in the background. Very, very important out there. Now, remember the business card we were designing? Yeah. So you can see it's taking shape. We have a picture in the background. We still have the yellow one and everything is just like that. And Or remember, even for the case of pictures, let's just bring another picture here of this building. Even pictures, if you want to reduce the size, don't just put the cursor here or even here or anywhere and then you drag it. You will end up with something like this, and this is not a good picture. Let me undo it with Control Z. So what you do, I said you bring the cursor, press it. Before you start stretching it, you press button of Shift down, then you can stretch it. There you control its resolution. Or you can come here. When you see here, you see the width and the height. When you press this button, you constrain the width. So when you constrain it, you can see it's still changing. Still, constraining it means you want to maintain, so that when you increase the width, for example, from 11, when you increase it to 15 and press enter, even the height, the value of height will also increase. That is when you just insert the values here. But if you're going to stretch it manually or locally, let me use that word, you have to press the shift button down, and that should really, really help you. Okay, we were talking about the properties. When you select the texts like this and you come to properties here, yesterday we talked about some others, so we'll just add some. We already talked about opacity. Now we also have the characters. Characters, that's what we call font style in Microsoft Word. Now, as a new designer, you might be so excited and ready to start designing. I want you to go ahead and download more fonts. The default fonts that normally come with your computer, they are very few and they're not enough, and they may not be so cool. So go ahead and design. So this is a part where you can always change the font style. So when you click inside here, you will find several fonts, and now me, I've downloaded many of them. For example, this one is called Badaboom. So this Badaboom BB, you cannot find it on your computer. You have to just download it from the internet. It's good for those who do the t-shirt design and so on. Some of these fonts will use them. And then we have what we call the font style. You can always change from regular, italic, condensed to bold and so on. So all these are styles. And then we have the size. Now under font size here, you can see we have 7 points, 8 points and so on. The sizes are always there. The highest size that you might be seeing there is 72. Now what if you want it beyond there? You can just click this and increase, or you can input it manually. So let's say we want 200 and press enter. That becomes 200. Maybe it's too big. I'll just press shift and then drag it and bring it back. So that is how the font style also want. We also have paragraphs. When you check here, you can align it to the center, align it to the left, and so on and so forth. And we also have, you can make envelopes, and then this is how you can align to the artboards. Let me talk about this one, because this one we already know from Microsoft Word. Let me talk about from here up to here. Now, let me remove this picture from the background and put it somewhere behind here. When we check our design, it's looking nice. So assuming I want to balance this name and everything here using the artboard, I will come here. For example, I can select the background and the name Look Elvis, and then I come to this to align it horizontally to the center, and you see what has happened. So even if I move, you can see it's moving together. Let me just redo that. Let's say the name Luke Davis was here and I want it to be in the center. So I select these two, I click align to the center. So Luke Davis is now in the center of our rectangle. Even if I wanted to align these towards this one, so I'll click this one, then I press Ctrl and Shift, then I also click the upper one. It allows me to select the two only without selecting the background. Then I can go and use this one, center line, or I can come to align to the center, like that, so that you can always have your designs accurately aligned and so on and so forth. You can also align these together with these, and you want it to be on the same line. with this picture. So now this time it's not going to be horizontally, it will be vertically. So we can align that one. So you can see our word here have also come to the center, and we don't want to have it some like that. So I'll just drag it down and push this up like this. So ladies and gentlemen, that's a little bit more about aligning. So let's proceed. These are properties, X values and Y values. I don't want to talk so much about it because it's not really so important. But what I want to talk about is the width and the height of everything that we do, including the pictures like this. You always have the width and the height. You can always adjust the width or the height. If this button, the link or the constraint width button is checked, it means only increase the width, you increase the height as well. So you can always check that. All right. So that is it. Now we can, since we're done with this part, we can come and now look on this other side. I said earlier before, all these tools on this side we can always expand also. But this side, it's more of beautification. We talk about colors, we talk about brushes, we talk about symbols, we talk about appearances, the graphical styles, and so on and so forth. So wherever you see on this right-hand side, you can dictate whether you want it there or not. I can actually close here. So you see now, it's like that. You can open and close them. So you can go to Windows and then Workspace, and you choose a type of workspace you want. If you see Essentials, so this is our Essential Workspace, how it looks. If we do the same thing, Windows, Workspace, and then Essential Classic, you see Essential Classic. So this goes also to the person who was asking that some of the tools are missing. You can always change your workspace. Maybe your workspace is on Essentials. You can also go to Windows, then Workspace, and then maybe typography. You can see also some tools change. So it's just like that. Now, I was talking about the features you always see here. So let me first change back my workspace to Essential Classic. I like that one. So when you go to Windows, all these features, you can select any, and whenever you select, for example, when you select, let's say, info. So the info will come on this. Let me just see where it is. Where is it? I'm not seeing it. Anyway, I'll find out. But whenever you select something, it always come here. So let's say we go to Windows and then we remove appearance. So you see appearance have disappeared. We can just come to Windows, then appearance, and then it comes back. That is it. So basically that's it. You can always bring them back. You can add, depending on what you need or what you're going to use it for, you can always bring and remove. And yeah, I was looking for info. So this is the info thing in X here. I knew I would find it. Now this is the part where having the smaller screen is good, because when you have a small screen, it means you can always see. My screen is so big, so I'm struggling to look left and right. Now, something very important I want us to do, or I want to introduce us to, before we can take a quick break, is what we call clipping mask. Now, we're going to use it so much in our design. That's what I want to introduce. In Photoshop, it works differently. In Illustrator, it's also way different. Assuming you want to design this business card, and you have a picture like this, and you drag this picture, you see our picture is bigger than the background, and we don't want to reduce the size of our picture, because we could just reduce the size and then it fits. But we want it big, like to the extent that the other building, call it the Eiffel Tower, it's big enough so that we can just have it like that, and we don't want these other parts to come in. So what we have to do in this particular case is to draw a clipping mask, but always do a clipping mask at the end of your design. I advise, but you're free to do it before. A clipping mask, what it does is it will clip your design from the part where you want to clip, and then the unwanted parts will be left out, or it will be hidden. It will not be deleted, it will just be hidden. Let me give an example using this business card. So if I want to, I can draw a clipping mask. I will draw any shape. Now, a clipping mask normally takes the shape. Let me just scroll up and give another example. Let's say I have shapes here, and then I have a line here. Then maybe I have another shape, let's say a circle. And let me give it another color. So assuming this is my diagram and I want to give a clipping mask. So first thing first, draw a shape that you want to use as a clipping mask or a clip mask. So let's say we want to create a clip mask of a rectangle. So we will draw a rectangle from here up to anywhere you want. I always prefer to remove the fill color. So you click here and you remove. I hope you remember that. So we want, out of all these designs we've done, we want it only to occupy from here up to here, up to here, up to here. That's why we have drawn this upper one. We're calling it the clipping mask. So what you do, you select everything, including the clipping mask. You right click and then you go to make clipping mask. So you see it has cut our design from there up to here. So let me go ahead and delete this. Now let's go back to our picture. So we want to cut our design using this line. So what we have to do is we have to draw our clipping mask first. So this time around, we're not using a rectangle, we're using the rounded rectangle. So I've selected the shape. So I'll just come here and draw this shape. You see I'm drawing it. You have to be accurate, because if we try to create a clipping mask when it's like this, let's first select everything, right click and make clipping mask. So you see it has cut our business card and it's not the way we wanted it. I'll just go ahead and undo it. So it means this upper shape, the one you're going to use it for making clipping mask, it has to pass from where you want your shape to go. So let me just do that. So now you may not be seeing it. So let me just change the color here to red. So the red line you're seeing is where our design will pass from. So you can select everything, you left click, set left click, you right click rather, and then you click on make clipping mask. So you can see what has happened is we have cut our design and it's not exceeding where we wanted it. And it's as simple as that. If we move now, when you create a clipping mask, it groups everything together. So even if you try to move it, everything will move together. So it's like it's grouped, but it's not grouped, it's just under a clipping mask. So what if you want to edit the name Luke Davis from here? You cannot edit it directly, but if you double click on it, it allows you, it opens up this part. You remember what we talked about layers? So now it can show you the different layers you have. So now you can click on the name Luke Davis and you make a change. So let's maybe add a full stop. And once we're done, you go back with this button back to one level. That is it. So that's how a clipping mask works. You can also undo or you can release a clipping mask. You right click and then you come to release. In other words, you open it back to where it was. Now you remember the other red line that we drew. The line is still there, but it's just the red color which has now disappeared since we have just released. Doesn't mean the line is not there. For example, I have moved it. The line is here. You cannot see the line, but it's here. When I click out, you don't see the line is here. So I can still give it back any other color, let's say blue. So this was the line that we use, or the shape that we use for clip masking. I will just go ahead and select everything and make a clip mask. So that's it for now. As I always tell you, it's quite hard to talk for too long without taking a break. So let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be doing our first design. So for today, our assignment is very simple. We are all going to do a simple business card, and we're only going to do one side of it. We'll try to do two-sided business cards later on, but today we're doing only one side. So let's meet immediately after this quick break.